It's been 12 months since acquittal, and so much has passed us by. Such a scattering with evidence, and some blatant flat-out lies. Special new prosector, and Hank Breeden is his name. He is a dirty Boston lawyer, and his arguments are lame. He's tried to squash all of our experts, as he has no case to claim. He should have won an Oscar medal to convince the court he's sane. He can lie without a conscience and keep that smirk upon his face. I bet he wears those silky undies, the ones with edging made of lace. And Judge Beverly Academy is so biased for the state, is wading through 100 motions in a rush to seal my fate. So you can bring in Massachusetts, cause we all ain't got no quit. And we all know that the truth is my car is not the thing John hit.
Good morning, all. Yeah, be afraid, be afraid. I'm in charge of the stream. Yeah, Jodie's just doing some work uploading and comparing documents. So, you're stuck with me. And apparently not much going on in the court. So, yay! So I hope everyone's doing well today. Because there just isn't a lot going on. So the only downside with doing live court stuff is frequently there are periods where there is just nothing that interesting going on, or there are gaps where you're waiting for things to start because nothing ever runs on time. Hey, Udef. Hey, Teresa. We got. I'm not actually sure why they're broadcasting just staring at people. But hey, that's what we've got, so we're kind of stuck with it. So what's happened in the previous 3 days actually changed anyone's mind or made them think twice about what they thought before all this started?
I'm just going to put it out there. I'm saying no for Udef.
It lives!
I'm here. I'm just trying to scramble putting these last bits of stuff together. I'm coming. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I can moider the audience to death. It's not a problem. If there's one thing those Brits are good at, it's talking a lot. Yes, we have no off-button people.
True that. And drinking.
Hey, that's a vicious put around by Americans who can't drink worth shit.
Now, so they're doing the jury. Are they doing the jury tour this morning or this afternoon?
Don't know.
Okay. Yes, hopefully it's fucking.
Okay.
This morning, but gives me a bit more time to finish the last bits of the. I've got to save them as individual testimonies analyse and yeah, easier than I thought. Plus, I had to voice enhance a particular testimony for Uda here because we're still arguing over what was said.
Oh dear.
Yeah. We were talking. Well, we were on Steady Stream yesterday, and it was Kerry Roberts' cross-examination, and Steve had the caption in there that Kerry Roberts admits to lying to the grand jury or something like that. And because those 4 words were never said exactly, point of contention.
Well, it was a stretch to say she lied.
Hey?
It's a stretch to say she lied.
My 2 daughters. My doorbell rang this morning, and my 2 daughters and my son-in-law came pumping into the bedroom. I'm like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, Mum, we're bringing you a new picture."
Hear ye. All persons having anything to do before the honorable.
But it's morning. Fuck off.
Judges of the Superior Court holding in debt and for the county of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance.
Oh, here we go. Looks like we're going into court action.
This court is in session. Please be seated.
Wait.
For the record before the court is Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, 22 CR 117. The parties are present. Our 18 jurors are present. The matter is on for trial.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Good morning again, counsel. Good morning again, Ms. Reed.
Good morning, jurors.
Oh, what? Hang on.
I'm very much aware that we're leaving you in another room waiting, but we were working.
I saw
this
that.
morning
Turns out
to
I was
help
wrong
streamline
and didn't
things,
read the
and
one
we were
before it.
successful, so we do appreciate your patience. I do have to ask you those questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left yesterday?
Yes.
Everyone nodded affirmatively or said yes. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did any of you happen to see, hear,
update
or
on
read
Steve?
anything
It
about
looks
this
like he's
case since
back
we
up
left yesterday?
Turning again, which is good.
Thank you. Everyone said no. All right, folks, as you know, this morning we are going on a view. And a view is simply, we're going to a place that you've heard about and that you will continue to hear about during the course of the trial. The purpose of the view is to help you better understand the evidence, which you'll hear during the course of the trial, and to help you appreciate the location and its surroundings. So the view that we're going on is part of the case, and it means that the observations that you make there can be used and considered by you in your deliberations on this case in reaching a verdict. So we're going to, you've heard 34 Fairview Road in Canton. The lawyers and I will accompany you. For the Commonwealth, we'll be accompanied by Attorney Brennan, and ADA Lally, ADA Schillinger, and for the defense, Attorney Yannetti and Attorney Little. The lawyers will have the opportunity, Mr. Yannetti and Mr. Brennan, have the opportunity to point out various things that they may want you to direct your attention to. Otherwise, there's no conversation between the lawyers and the jurors. So it's simply in a few minutes, you'll hear a little bit from each Mr. Brennan and Mr. Yannetti about what they want you to look at. And then when we get there, they'll direct you, look in this direction. They won't be able to testify to you, but they'll direct you on what they want you to look at. While you're in the view, you're not to take any notes, you're not to take any pictures, you're not to conduct any independent investigation at all during the view or any time during the trial. You're not to return to this scene or ask anybody to go back there for you. Today's your chance. You'll see photographs during the course of the trial, I bet, but today's your chance to really look at everything. So the best way to summarize a view is that your job is to simply stop and look. It's really no more complicated than that. So your responsibility is to see the place, observe it carefully, and to remember what you see. Now, during the trip to and from the view, and while at the view, you're not to discuss this case or anything about it with other jurors. Will be accompanied by court officers who will direct you, and the court officers are there for all of us. So you'll be under their supervision until you're returned back here. So that's basically it. We'll be leaving in a few minutes, but first, before Madam Clerk swears the court officers in, Mr. Brennan, do you want to make a view opening?
May I?
Please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As Her Honor explained to you, we're going to go to 34 Fairview Road. We have some exhibits that are already in evidence. You haven't had a long time to look at them, study them. But essentially, we're going to go to 34 Fairview Road. I ask you to pay attention to the street, the front yard of the home. And you'll see to the left side of the front yard in the corner, there'll be a car. It's the Lexus that we've spoken about, the defendant's Lexus. And you'll also see a flagpole and a fire hydrant. And so I'd ask you to take a look from different vantage points. Take a look from that area where the flagpole is, from where the fire hydrant is. And you'll see on the street before the grass is a little berm, concrete that comes up a little bit. I'd ask you just to note that as you go there. One thing I'd suggest is April 25th, 2025, not January 22nd, 2022. So the weather will be very different. The temperature will be different. The conditions will be different. We're going to go there probably at 10 o'clock. It won't be the same visibility. It won't be the same elements and the same weather. So keep that in mind when you're looking around. When you look at the Lexus, a couple of things I'd ask you to look at. There is some evidence already of photographs of the right rear tail light. When you look at that tail light, it will be different than the photograph that is in evidence. It has been removed, so it will appear differently, and you'll later get testimony explaining that process. Also, I'd ask you to make a note on the Lexus about the height of the bumper. I'd ask you to make note of the height of the right rear tail light. And I'd also ask you to take note of, on the top of the hatchback, there is a part that protrudes. I'd ask you to take a look at that. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Ms. Tianetti?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. As I told you at the start of the trial, my name is David Iannetti. I have an office in Boston and in Dedham. And on behalf of my co-counsel, we will be accompanying you on the view that you will take today. Although the view is not evidence, I suggest to you that you will find it to be helpful, important, even necessary as you later do your investigation of this case within the four walls of this courtroom. You've already received in evidence, some photos and videos, but there is no substitute for your own two eyes. As we all know, photos and videos sometimes can be misleading in terms of relative distances, depending upon the perspective from which the photo is taken. But your eyes are the best computer that you could bring to the view. When we get to 34 Fairview, we will be pointing out certain things that we'd like you to observe. The house, the second floor window to that house, the 3 front doors in the front of the house, the driveway, the street, the front lawn, and the flagpole. And we'll be asking you specifically to consider the distance between that second floor front window and the distance between the front doors to the house and that front lawn, the distance between the driveway to the front. And we'll be asking you to take a good look at that Lexus. Just stand next to it. Just size it up. To take it in. You were all selected as jurors because the parties entrusted that you would do a proper investigation of this case within this.
Yeah.
On behalf of Ms. Reed,
No, it's still gonna be
we have every confidence that you will do a proper investigation.
We're just blowing the kettle.
All right, jurors, I have to make something very clear. So the purpose of this view is to help you better to understand the evidence that you'll hear during the trial and to help you appreciate the location and its surroundings. The view you'll take is part of this case. The observations that you make while on the view may be used and considered by you in your deliberations in reaching a verdict. So at the end of the trial, when I explain to you what is evidence and what is not, I'll remind you that your observations on this view can be used by you in your deliberations. Also, while you're in the view, the same way you're not to take any notes or photographs, you're not to conduct any investigation on this case. You really are simply to stop and look, okay? Those are the instructions. We will see you in a few minutes. All right, thank you. Oh, sorry, Madam Clerk has to swear in the court officers.
If you could all raise your right hand, please. Do each of you solemnly swear that you will take the jury upon the premises in question and there suffer them to view the same or any property, place, or thing bearing upon the issue in the trial as the parties may think necessary? That you will not permit the parties to enter into a debate in the hearing of the jury, nor any person to speak to them unless it be the attorneys of record, then only to point out such places or things as they may deem expedient for the determination of the issues. That you will keep the jury together until they shall return to court, unless the court shall otherwise order, so help you God. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All rise, please. Jury, follow me.
Well, I find it.
I plead not guilty to this deed. We were just drinking at the bar. They think I hit you with my car, though I don't really know how, without me damaging the plow. So we found you in the snow. How you got there, I don't know. Brian Alberts was the place where we found your broken face. All the witnesses at trial claim their phones can all but dial. The McCabe say they're your friend, but the truth they surely bend. They will pull out all the stops, protecting all the crooked cops. And those cringy texts I sent to the agent that was banned were removed in single threads by machines owned by the feds. So Detective Brian's dreams were not disturbed by my shrill screams. Kerry Roberts testified, didn't fake it when she cried. Unlike Jen, who likes to mock a state of horror and of shock. It was February 22 when I last set eyes on you. Death is such a nasty thief of your life, Johnny O'Keefe.
You can watch this. I can't fucking find it anyway. Try that.
you know from whom he retrieved those Sally Port videos?
I believe it was
Individual.
the chief of police.
Okay, Chief Rafferty specifically gave him whatever videos were provided.
Correct. That's my.
He testified that there were several hundred Ring videos from One Meadows, from both the facing the driveway and the front door camera, correct?
Yes.
As the case officer, you obtained and controlled those Ring videos from One Meadows from the moment that they came into Massachusetts State Police custody until they were handed over to the Commonwealth, correct?
Yes, they were archived.
You took possession of Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone physically, correct?
Yes.
And you had access to Mr. O'Keefe's Ring account in that cell phone. Is that right?
Correct.
You indicated that you reviewed several of the videos on his Ring app on his cell phone. Is that right?
Yes.
So you obviously had not only possession of his cell phone, you had possession of his login account information to get into the app on his cell phone. Is that right?
I don't believe we had the password. We had his email account associated with the Ring.
Which means
app.
somewhere or another, you could get access to the Ring videos.
Correct.
And watch those Ring videos on his app on the phone.
Yes.
Which means you had full access to the app. You could keep videos, you could save for later, you could delete videos, you could do anything you wanted to within that app, correct?
Yes, those are the capabilities within that app.
Footage from 12:41 a.m. is gone, correct?
Yes, it's something I've tried to find through Ring for months, as well as the video when Miss Roberts, Miss McCabe, Miss Reed arrived back at John's and they're looking at the broken taillight. That video is gone as well.
Your words, quote, all the powers that be want answers ASAP. That's what you texted on January 29th, right?
Yes.
That put a lot of pressure on you, didn't it? You agreed in your group chat that you needed to, quote, make this cut and dry because another cop was involved. Those are your words, right?
Where is he?
Check.
I can't even see him.
My emotions got the best of me based on, the fact that Miss Reed hit Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle and left him to die on the side of the road. So my emotions got the best of me with that figure of speech.
And you admitted in your own words that the cop homeowner wasn't going to, quote, catch any shit.
What's up?
Are you calling me?
Nah.
Tanya's just rang me saying that you're calling me if I started my stuff. And it's on the screen, isn't it?
I think Tanya's behind where we are.
No.
Right?
I just need
Correct.
to make coffee and calm down.
Because you were out to quote, make this cut and dry. Isn't that right?
The homeowner wasn't going to catch any shit because Mr. Elbert had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's death.
Because you were going to make sure that the case was cut and dry. Those were your words, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
As we're looking at your house, from the street looking at your house, are your bedroom windows, your and Nicole's bedroom windows, visible from the street?
Yes.
Which windows would they be?
If you were facing the house, they would be far left corner.
Upper or lower?
Upper.
Upper left corner.
Yes.
How many windows? 3 or 2 serve a set?
2.
Do it this way. How many feet from the windows would the closest part of your bed be to those windows?
Maybe 5 feet. 6 feet.
You indicate it's a relatively quiet street generally, Fairview.
Yes.
Not an enormous amount of through traffic.
No.
Not a busy freeway or a highway, correct?
No.
Not an especially noisy street,
The street, no.
especially at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, right?
Right.
Where were you at 6:03 on the morning of January 29, 2022?
I was sleeping in my room.
6 feet from that window.
Yes.
Was Nicole in bed with you?
Yes.
Had you taken any medication the night before?
No.
Were you on any sedatives?
No.
Sleeping pills?
No.
Were you wearing a sleep apnea machine?
No.
Were you wearing an eye mask?
No.
Were you wearing earplugs?
No.
You shortly thereafter became aware that 6 emergency vehicles, including a fire engine, police cruisers, and unmarked police vehicles, a civilian SUV, were all parked in front of your house that morning, correct?
I'm not aware of what type of vehicles were parked there, no.
You seen photographs since this incident?
Of the vehicles out front?
Right.
No.
Are you aware that all of those vehicles had their engines running?
No.
Are you aware that all the emergency vehicles at least had their lights on, flashing lights?
No.
Were you aware that there were a number of first responders outside their vehicles traipsing around your lawn?
Was I aware?
Were you aware at the time?
No.
Were you aware that there were emergency responders, first responders, who were talking to each other over the din of the wind and the snow
What?
to communicate with each other?
No.
You're aware that there were 3 women on your lawn at one point?
Just only after the fact.
And at least one of those women was screaming to the top of her lungs at 6:03?
No.
And your explanation, and by the way, we've already talked about this. Earlier that day, you've already indicated she was barking because she heard people and noises downstairs when you guys came in the house.
Yes.
Okay. And your explanation is that you and Nicole and Chloe, the German Shepherd, all slept through the entirety of that commotion on your front lawn.
Yes.
You never came out of your house to assist or investigate in any manner whatsoever, did you, Mr. Albert?
Once I was awakened?
Correct.
No.
Did you see this the other day, Dad? Hello?
Which bit?
The presentation I did with Proctor and...
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, we can turn it off now. I'm getting there. I haven't... Oh, Lord, I haven't even... Oh, what is it? No makeup, no lipstick, no hair, no nothing. Yeah. Oh, it's on the 2 screens. Right. All right. So did we see that one?
Something you said just before we broke, and that was in respect of the...
That's the wrong one. That's this. That's the short. I want the full bit. No, I don't know where it is. Not going to happen. Not today. Get off. All right. Now let me find the other fucking thing. Where's my folder? All right. First one is Daniel Whitley. Share screen. Get rid of that out of there. Don't need you. Present. Image. Present. Share screen. There it is. All right. That's easy. Right. Oh no. Kerry Roberts, also referred to as Kerry, was a close friend of John. There we go. Details. Okay, she emphasised her close. I reckon she had the hot for him myself. Consistency in her timeline was the same. The only thing she added extra was she added that Karen said, "We drank so much, I don't remember anything from last night during one of the early calls." Oh, she added a few. That she described her husband trying to discourage her from going out to the blizzard, which is fair enough. She added that she provided more detailed description of entering O'Keefe's house through the garage and not the door. And she was very adamant about them taking their shoes off. If you're concerned for someone's life, I wouldn't be taking my shoes off. Sorry. She found it disrespectful that Karen didn't and ran upstairs to look for John. She added that Jen ran upstairs to Katie's bedroom while Karen was just standing there in front of John's room, not actively searching. Well, we all respond differently, don't we? Like, describing in more detail the treacherous driving conditions to Fairview Road, stated Karen was yelling and frantic. Yeah, I would be too. And Roberts had to tell her to shut up several times and sit back and buckle up. She's mean. Added that Karen was sitting between the front seats and then would sit back again. And she noted Karen was not looking out windows like Roberts and McCabe were. Huh? Doesn't make any sense. Trial 1. Now, I asked them to actually hone in on their descriptions of the tail light of Karen's car in both. Heard Karen asking about her tail light at McCabe's house. This is what she said in the first trial. She observed Karen's car and had damage to the right passenger tail light with snow caked around it. I remember that testimony. She could see damage when someone applied the brakes. No specific mention of Karen pointing out the taillight or asking if she hit John when they were at the O'Keefe's house. Now, didn't someone say they actually saw her pick bits out of the inside of the frame and throw them on the ground? I'm sure someone testified to that somewhere. No specific mention of Karen pointing out the taillight or asking if she hit John when they were at the O'Keefe's house. Trial 2, more detail. Everything was in more detail, this trial, because Hanks delved that bit further. So, whilst they're at Jen's driveway, Karen said, my tail light. While Roberts was on Bluetooth. Roberts saw a piece missing and there was a lot of snow. Stated she didn't think anything of it at the time. When she got to the O'Keefe's house after searching inside, when she got to John's house after searching inside, when they left the house, Karen pointed out her tail light and asked, "Do you think I hit him?" Roberts replied, "No, I don't think you hit him. What are you talking about? Let's go and find him." That is the video, ring camera video, that was missing, along with the one when Karen returned home from 34 Fairview. Those two. This interaction was described as occurring multiple times in the driveway. Described the damage in more detail. The piece was missing. There was a metal sort of square, and one of the pieces was sort of sticking out. She expressed concern that the metal piece sticking out could catch someone's jacket. Identified the damage on a photo, pointing out a white area where the piece was missing, and confirmed it was on the right passenger side taillight. Discussion of the taillight with police, because she also had a statement with an officer, I can't remember his name. She admitted in trial too that she didn't mention the taillight to police on her January 29th interview. Explained that I didn't want to accuse anybody of anything, and confirmed she discussed the taillight on February 1st interview, telling police the taillight in the middle was broken and a piece of the metal encasement was pushed forward. Interactions with Karen Reid at the scene. So this is when they've turned up at 34 Fairview to find John. That one's better. Karen immediately jumped out of the car and ran towards something when they arrived at 34 Fairview Road. Karen was screaming, "Is he dead? Did I hit him?" Karen was hysterical while Roberts performed CPR on John. Trial 2. She added that Karen screamed, "There he is, there he is." They like to say things twice or 3 times. "Let me out of the fucking car," and began kicking the car door. Roberts couldn't initially see anything when Karen yelled this. When Karen ran to a mound of snow, Roberts realized it was the length of a body. Added that John's body was completely covered. Yeah, she didn't say she had to dig his face out of the snow to give him CPR last time and wrap the towels around his head. There was none of that. Roberts couldn't initially see anything when Karen yelled this. When Karen ran to the mound of snow, Roberts realized it was the length of a body. Added that John's body was completely covered. That certainly wasn't said in the first trial. And his head was completely covered with snow. Now, I don't know. If you turned up at a scene like that and they're covered in snow, they are cold to the touch and they're not breathing, they don't have a heart rate, do you start CPR? Like, because once they've started, the EMTs are, they have to continue. Like, and if you don't know how long that body's been there, if it's more than 5-6 minutes, I think that's it. There's no lights, so to speak. That's always been a point of contention with me. Like, there's been so many attempted and successful revivals of people with CPR that turned up at the ICU, but they've been down for 15 minutes, They stay in ICU for the next 3 weeks and they go to a nursing home with, trachea tube. Where's that quality? So, all right. Roberts had to dig around his face and eyes to uncover him. Now, both her and the first guy that testified both said that his right eye was swollen first, and then when they saw him at the hospital, both eyes were swollen. So initially it was one, which may indicate because the wound was a blunt force trauma, of so long laterally across the back of his skull, but the impact could have been angled. Does that make sense? So the impact could have been more towards that way, because the contra Q injury is the brain's bruising and swelling and bleeding at the point where it hits the front of the skull, which is why you get that raccoon eyes. And if it's swelling more on one side than the other, that would indicate to me that the impact wasn't universally straight and flat on, straight ahead. Does that make sense? More detailed description of CPR efforts, stating that she did chest compressions for 4 to 5 minutes while waiting for EMTs. Actually, do you know, and it's very, very handy to have too, you can buy them, I think, from eBay, but they're a little keyring, basically, and it's a one-way valve resuscitation mask. So it's almost like just a protection shield. You know, you can go to public toilets, you can put the protection shield over the toilet seat. Well, it's similar to that, and you just keep it on your keyring, because a lot of people, when you're doing CPR, can vomit, they can aspirate, they can they'll have blood all over their face, and it's just one of those things that's handy to have on your keyrings, just in case. You just never know. She added she had to yell at Karen to get off him, because her instinct was to like pull his clothes up and start warming him by laying on him. Described Karen trying to do mouth to mouth. Instead, Karen was just running around screaming. Yeah. Added that Karen was repeatedly asking, did I hit him? Did I hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead? Described Karen grabbing the front of her shirt, asking, are they working on him? Interactions with Jennifer McCabe. Jen drove Karen's Lexus with Karen in the passenger seat, and Roberts followed in her Ford Explorer. Oh my God, I had one of those. They were crap. They call them the Ford Exploder over here. The suspension in them is ridiculous. Trial 2. Oh, Jennifer said to Karen, no, I saw you pull. Oh, hang on, start again. Jen drove Karen's Lexus with Karen in the passenger seat, and Roberts followed in her Ford Explorer. Jen said, no, I saw you pull up at my sister's house when Karen mentioned leaving John at the Waterfall Bar. That's right. Trial 2 provided more context about communication with McCabe, acknowledged that she and McCabe had become friends after the incident, admitted that they had spoken the morning of her testimony on trial 2, though denied discussing her testimony, referenced creating a timeline. Now, remember that was brought up in trial 1, and it was suggested that Peggy O'Keefe suggested that they do this, because I believe Peggy has pointed the finger from the very start, which is why Karen felt so uncomfortable returning back to Meadows whilst the family was there, which is why she didn't stay. Admitted they spoke, referenced creating a timeline with Jennifer McCabe, help that influenced her testimony. Acknowledged that she testified to something at the grand jury that she never personally heard, but was told by Jennifer McCabe. That's what we were arguing about yesterday. I actually haven't read this before. The key differences in her testimony. The tail light description. In trial 2, testimony was significantly more detailed about the tail light damage, including the metal sticking out and its appearance. Interactions at the O'Keefe house. In trial 2, Roberts added the critical detail that Karen specifically asked, do you think I hit him, when pointing out the damaged taillight at O'Keefe's house. This was not mentioned in trial 1. Body discovery. Trial 2 testimony was much more descriptive about John O'Keefe's body being covered in snow and the efforts to uncover him. Karen Reid's behaviour. Trial 2 testimony characterised Karen's behaviour as more erratic and frantic, with more specific quotes and descriptive language. Admissions about police interviews. In trial 2, Roberts admitted she didn't mention the taillight in her first police interview, but only bringing it up in subsequent interviews. Timeline creation. In trial 2, Roberts acknowledged creating a timeline with Jen McCabe that influenced her testimony to the grand jury about statements she never personally heard. Conclusion. Kerry Roberts' testimony in trial 2 was significantly more detailed than trial 1, particularly regarding the taillight damage. Karen Reid's statements about possibly hitting John and the discovery scene. Whilst the core narrative remained consistent, trial 2 testimony added important details about Karen asking if she hit John when showing the taillight damage at the O'Keeffe's house. A potentially crucial point for the prosecution's case. The testimony also revealed Roberts' relationship with Jennifer McCabe and how they worked together on their accounts of events, which became a point of contention during cross-examination. So, that is her comparison one. Now, I think I did an even deeper one just on the Alan Jackson. Yes, I did. The cross-examination. Open up. And I've dropped there, haven't I? Yes. Share screen. Now, whilst I'm going along, if you've got any questions, type them in chat. Oh, you lucky, lucky bastard. Dan's just put in. He's get a food delivery. That'd be nice. All right. The cross-examination. Do you want me to pull up the actual section? Yes, I know if you want me to. All right. It was day 2, wasn't it? Oh, I feel like Chinese now. I feel like fried rice. Fly. Day 2, Kerry Roberts. Oh, I should be able to just. She second time? Okay, 50-35. Oh, you can't see me. Share this tab instead. At this stage. Okay. So I have the video and I have the transcript. So Kerry's statement starts at 50.
That's you in the.
His face and his eyes, and his left eye was fine, but his right eye looked like it was huge,
So it was his
like he
right eye.
had something happen to it. And after that, I told Karen to get off him. We were going to start CPR. I had been certified at work through the American Red Cross, so I knew chest compressions were more important. So I started to do chest compressions, and I yelled to Jen and told her to call 911. Karen was trying to do mouth-to-mouth. I don't know if she knew what she was doing, but I knew chest compressions were more important, so I concentrated on that. I yelled for Jen. I carry blankets. I have 2 kids, so I carry blankets in the car, so I yelled to Jen to get the blankets. I don't know what I thought I was doing with blankets, but I wrapped them around his head, just thinking we're trying to warm up.
Her tail light.
About what?
Her tail light.
No, when the EMTs were around and they were working on the body. She was running around and saying, "Did I hit him? Did I hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead?"
When you were waiting for the police and EMTs, just briefly, what was the temperature like and the visibility like?
The temperature was freezing because I remember at one point I couldn't feel my knees, which is why I had Jen take over. And the wind was still whipping and the snow was still coming down.
At some point, did help arrive?
Yes, they did.
This is direct.
And when help arrived, what did you do?
I stood back and watched them work on him.
Did you see first responders trying to give first aid to Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes.
How long were you outside for that morning?
At that point, we went over my testimony on the screen. And then I just talked about my testimony from the last time.
Okay. When you say you went over your testimony on screen, what do you mean?
We watched my testimony from, Mr. Brennan had just asked me, "Can you just tell me what happened?" So I told him the story verbally.
Okay. Anything come up about specific instances of how you were going to testify today
No,
or yesterday?
no.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit, Ms. Roberts, about the video that you were shown by Mr. Brennan. It's the dash cam video of Officer Seraph. I'm not sure if you know which officer that is.
No, I don't.
It's the one that you've been watching.
Okay.
That dash cam that shows your car in the foreground.
Yep.
I'd like to ask you a couple of quick questions about your memory of that incident, and then perhaps show you the video depending upon what the answer is.
Sure.
Do you remember when the officer first arrived, you and Miss Reed specifically were at Mr. O'Keefe's body?
Yes.
Your memory?
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard the 911 tape of that call?
Yes.
Okay. You're aware that that tape was also captured by an open line on Miss Reed's phone?
Yes.
That open line that phone was dropped inside the cab of an SUV?
It was in the back seat, I believe.
Right. So in order for that for that open line to capture sort of the background of Miss McCabe's side of the 911 call, Miss
Yep.
McCabe would have had to have been either at or in the cab of the truck.
The back of the SUV was open. She was standing there.
Got it. Okay, so she was right next to or adjacent to the cab of the SUV.
She was in back of it with the back was up.
I see that back hatch.
Yes.
Next question.
That's all I have for the video. We can take that down.
Yes.
You made note of those,
Yes.
or at least some of them. You said you saw a hematoma of some sort over his right eye. Is that right?
Correct.
And there was some significant swelling to his right eye
Correct.
at the scene.
Correct.
Did you also notice a laceration just above his right eye, just under the eyebrow?
I saw it at the hospital, but I
Okay.
don't know if at the scene I saw it.
Fair enough.
When
At some point,
you guys drive on the right side of the road, don't you? So if you're parked with the house to your right. Is that correct? With the driver's door to the road, or do you park the other way? What I'm trying to get at is if you're parked in front, if you just like are driving along and you swerve in and pull in to park, you are parked with the actual house on your right hand side. Is that right?
No, from their pictures that they've shown of everything, the house is on the left of the car.
What? So they've pulled over the opposite side of the road?
You always see them when they're going to do stuff with John Keefe, they disappear off camera to the left.
With the driver to the roadside. What have I got? Where's that picture? Because the reason I say that, if you're parked in front of the letterbox, that is your passenger side door, yeah?
Depends which way the car's pointing.
Well, that would be the natural direction. Otherwise, we actually get fined, I think, parking on the other way. Over here.
I doubt that was a significant concern that morning.
No, but I'm just trying to figure out which were they facing the front of the car? Was it facing the flagpole or the driveway? Because I think
Not a clue, because you can't tell. Because there's too much snow and it's too dark.
There was heaps of pictures of. All right, so this is the main one I wanted to. Now.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
What?
Wontons and chow mein.
I know. I'm thinking about ordering it. I'm starving now.
So am I. I've just had a food delivery and now I'm thinking about ordering
that. Well, that's what started it. You and your food. Did you get Chinese or did you get Indian?
No, it was, just general food.
Why can't you see that tab?
All the stuff that normally you'd go to the supermarkets for, but I hate supermarkets, so.
So do I. I never leave the house. They get delivered to my door. I hate them with a passion.
If they could just make it that they put it away, it would be even better.
Yeah, if they could carry it in for me, that'd be good too. Yeah, I can't walk around them anymore.
I just hate people.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, it's other people in the supermarkets that makes me hate supermarkets.
I don't blame you. You'd be surprised how many people are actually ignorant to, like, if you're being wheeled in a wheelchair in a hospital, how many people are so blasé that what's behind them.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to show you this picture. All right, so let's move us. We're in the way again. To me, the house is on the far side of the car, yeah? Now, that plough can be raised quite high, I believe. Yeah? From inside. And if his right eye swelled before his left one, which is 2 people have said that, then that means he could potentially have been standing in front of that and been hit on the angle with the right-hand corner. You get me? Would have taken 2 seconds. Wouldn't have needed 60 kilometres an hour. The force would have been there with that and the strength of that to cause that injury. Because the timelines around that time don't add up. Because Ryan Nagel said that he parked in the exact same spot as Brian Higgins. And Brian said that he was at least there. Well, he said that he texted John at 12:20, "Are you coming here?" Which gives you the impression that he's already there, but then his testimony said he wasn't there between 12:30 and 1. Now, Julie Nagel was coming out at the same time, and Ryan pretty much said that he pulled up straight after Karen. Yeah? In a few minutes, she had to do a 3-point turn to put it on that side of the road. But no one saw John get out. But no one saw John in the car. Surely to Christ, if it was the same time, Julie would have seen, like, she would have bumped into him. Unless she's come out a different door and he's gone into the door closest to the garage, which leads you straight sort of towards the kitchen, but you can be downstairs to the basement. And then you don't hear anything more about what happens to Brian until he swipes this card that Nat 3D.
You're stretching.
Am I, though? Am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Because even with your version of events, he's not there till she's doing the 3-point turn, which is after John's supposed to have been hit.
No. How can John have been hit when she's done the 3-point turn?
It must
Ryan
be to
Nagel
leave.
saw her do it.
Yeah, to leave, not to stay.
No, to park in front, I think. Well, why didn't he see John then?
Because he wasn't looking. It wasn't near the driveway. It's supposed to be far off to the left where John's hit.
He said he pulled up
viewed the property
within a few feet of behind Karen's car. Headlights on. Facing the same way.
Yeah. Has she moved forward any? After striking him, has she moved forward? We don't know. It doesn't fit.
There's another picture here that someone did up about what the view would be if you were sitting in Higgins's car, the way he explained he was parked. Remove, present, image. Because to me, if it's a vehicle pedestrian strike, that makes more sense than that he's hit by something like that. Oh, wrong fucking picture. Like that. That would explain the head injury. And only the head injury without any other damage.
No, it wouldn't.
Hey?
No, it wouldn't. That's far too low.
No, but it can be raised.
It would have to be raised so that the driver couldn't see where he's going.
What if John was bending forward? Which part of the car do you think Karen hit him with?
There is no way that plough can do the necessary damage. It just can't.
Well, then there's no way that Karen's car could do the necessary damage because that...
Yes, because it's not as low.
Hey?
It's not as low. The car can.
No, the bumper juts out heaps, and it's way lower than that.
The bumper... There's no give in that. If that hit the legs, there would be marks. There's no way around it. That would not work as the source of the injury. The mechanics of it do not work.
Well, that's my exact argument with Karen's car because it's round and low.
No. It's much higher than that bump, than that snowplow is. Using that her car is low. Well, no, it's much higher than the snowplow is.
And, all right.
Not to mention, that's a Jeep CJ. It just does not work.
Let's get rid of that one. I'll go back to Kerry's statement. Have you got something up? Oh, is that the court case? Is it the courthouse?
Just the courthouse. This is live feed.
Thank you.
Just so if they come back, we can see it.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Share screen. You can go. I don't like this new setup on StreamYard at all. It's confusing.
Also, there's a big hole in Karen Reid's whole argument, or her defense team's argument. It's no one knew this was going to happen before. So they're supposed to throw this whole cover-up and conspiracy together in 5 minutes.
No. That's what everyone is saying. They didn't have to throw anything up. All they had to do was not throw anything up. That's the difference.
No.
Yes.
They would have had to have thrown up a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, to hide the truth.
Well, for a start, they bought time, or at least.
Then they would have to have known that Karen Reid was going to do all the stupidity with her interviews.
Your mic's really low. Sorry, I can't hear you, Dal.
Then they'd have to know for certain that Karen Reid would be so stupid as to do all these television interviews where she admits she hit him. See, that's a huge problem for the defense. Yes, she does. She's done 20 or 30 television interviews and documentary interviews where she goes on about her hitting him.
Could I have hit him?
She's the one that has single-handedly done the most harm to her own defense.
I agree, but not by saying those 3 words. She never said it.
Yes, by saying those words.
No.
Because the jury are going to sit there and watch her do it in her own words. All this stuff about them trying to undermine that she said it to the paramedics or that she said it to other people, all of that fails flat on its face and will not convince a single juror because they then hear Karen Reid saying it. All that stuff might have stood a chance originally until she opened her mouth.
I've lost my fucking hearing again.
And there is another problem with her testimony. None of it can be trusted. She was shit-faced.
Well, they all were.
Yeah.
So none of them can be trusted, but she gets the blame.
The people who were there in the morning, Kerry wasn't shit-faced. She hadn't been out drinking with them all.
Yeah.
The paramedics hadn't been out drinking.
She didn't say she hit him.
The paramedics hadn't been out drinking. There are a lot of other people's testimony that can be believed, whereas hers is still influenced by the fact that she was drunk. She has no idea what the hell she did that night.
But in the testimony that Kerry did, she admitted that she didn't hear Karen say that. She only said that because she
misinterpreted the question.
Hey?
She said it because she misunderstood the question.
No, she ended up admitting that she only said it because Jen had told her. That's why they made a big deal of this timeline. And I believe that Jen has
But
influenced.
literally, for Karen Reid to be not guilty, everyone else who's giving evidence against her has to be lying. All of them.
No.
Yes. Because they all say the same damn thing. She did it. This is where it falls down on. It just becomes so ridiculous. Every one of those other witnesses has to be lying.
I don't believe she did it at all, because I don't believe that car was the murder weapon at all. And I don't believe that it's physically possible for John to be in that position to achieve that injury at all.
Well, it definitely is. With that vehicle at those speeds, yep.
How he got that injury. That's that, because at the end of the day, that's what killed him. That's all that matters. No, I don't have reasonable doubt that she's not. No. So this defense is that he was hit by a car, but it was a... I'm just throwing shit out there. That's all I'm doing, because no one else did in this investigation. None. She was sewn up within the first 8 hours. Like, by the time they got to the hospital, she was sewn up by Proctor. That's it. End of the story. No one else was interviewed. No one else was a suspect. So it could well have been so many other things, especially when none of it makes sense. They're all overlapping.
It doesn't have to make sense. This is the thing, though. People are obsessed with this. It has to make sense. It doesn't have
even
to.
Just the fact of Brian Albert not coming out of his house right from the start, that raises massive red flags to me, because that is a conscious strategic move on his behalf. Simple as that.
Assuming he was conscious.
How do you know Karen didn't have a flower? Oh, well, we wouldn't, because apparently the investigators were shit. Now, if they were trying to convict her, do you not think they would have taken photos of that? Really? They would have wanted photos of every possible aspect of that crime scene. Everything. And yet nobody did.
But this is where you go from incompetence to conspiracy.
Crime scene. After the fact. Because Proctor never even went out to the bloody crime scene, for Christ's sake. Jodie, do you think she could have believed she might have hit him if she watched him go inside the house? And well, as I said, I believe she was drunk, and she's going through every possible scenario. That's the last time she saw him, so she's gone back there and she's racking her brains. She may well have missed him come back out of the house, possibly. You know what I mean? Like, she may well have looked down at her phone and read something, and in that few seconds, she's thinking to herself, did he come out? Like, did I miss something? You know, that's the scenarios that are running through her head, as you would, because you don't know what the fuck's going on.
You have to be that level of drunk for that to be a scenario.
3v1 for guilty. Where's Tanya and Elizabeth? Oh, no. Yes, I haven't seen Anna for ages, or Liz. I don't know. I
thought they were around yesterday.
Just as I'm watching, my brain's ticking, that's all. But you wanted to watch this this testimony where Kerry points out that she didn't hear Karen say that. I hit him. She only said it because Jen said it. Okay, here we go.
you saw that laceration to his right eye?
Yes, I did.
Did you also see a
I'm gonna
laceration
boost
to the
this.
left side of his nose, a smaller laceration to the left side of his nose?
I don't recall. I know there was blood coming from here, but I don't know if it was coming from inside his nose or from a
Like that?
laceration. I don't know.
When you're pointing to the left side of your nostril
Yes.
and basically just above the nostril, correct?
Yes, right around the nostril, there was blood coming this way.
Okay, draining to the left side of his cheek?
Yes.
Okay. You also saw, once you got to the hospital, that his left eye had swollen as well.
Now, both eyes were swollen and filled with what looked like blood.
And his left eye was black as well as his right eye.
Correct.
Okay. You also indicated that you saw, well, actually, I don't know if you did or not.
Oh,
so
hello.
words in your mouth, I apologize. Did you see his
catch
right
up?
arm?
I did.
Did it appear to you that he had some abrasions or lacerations, parallel abrasions and lacerations and punctures on his right arm?
They were scratches.
Scratches. Ms. Roberts, you previously testified that when you arrived, let me take you back, instead of jumping right into it. After you met up with Ms. Reed at Jim McKay's house that morning, so this is just after 5 o'clock or so, the three of you arrived back at One Meadows, correct? Is that right? I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay. You're trailing the Lexus SUV, correct?
Correct.
The Lexus pulls in to the driveway and you pull in directly behind Ms. Reed and Jennifer McCabe's driving.
Correct.
You're driving your SUV, correct?
Correct.
You've previously testified that when you arrived at One Meadows at that moment, that once that SUV, the Lexus SUV had pulled in and you pulled in behind the Lexus, you got out of the Lexus, sorry, you got out of your SUV, they got out of the Lexus, and that's a point at which Karen showed you the back of her taillight and said something to the effect of, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you think I hit him? Do you recall that?
I recall saying I didn't know if it was when we were coming or going, but she did point out the taillight.
Okay. When you previously testified under oath, your quote was,
No, I don't recall.
as a matter of fact, they told you that anything you wanted to provide to them, provide it. Give them as much detail as you could, correct?
I don't recall.
You just read
Hang on, I've got that one more.
the
Together the events of what had happened.
so she was helping you and you were helping her, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So both of you were assisting in each other's memories, correct?
Yes.
I remember this, and you remember this, and you know, okay, now I remember this, correct?
Yep.
Obviously, that would help influence your memory, going over the event with someone else, correct?
Yep.
So what's on that timeline, you would agree, is not completely independent, your memory. It's a combination of your memory and Jennifer McCabe's memory. Isn't that right?
Yes.
May I have this moment?
Yes.
Hello, baby.
Thank you, Ron. So the two of you drew out some sort of a timeline for you to follow during the course of that interview. Is that right?
For me to follow what?
During the course of that February 1st interview, as you were interviewed in Ms. McCabe's house. I mean, that was the purpose of the timeline, to help you with that interview?
No, that wasn't the purpose of the timeline.
You used it for that purpose, though, obviously.
We did not. I was at Jen's house making a timeline, and the two officers showed up to interview her. I just happened to be there.
Right, and when they interviewed you, did you have that timeline in front of you? That's my question.
No, I did not.
Okay, but you had just created it along with Jennifer McCabe.
Some of it.
Okay. And then it was after that, that this timeline was court. Ms. Roberts, when was the last time you've spoken to Jennifer McCabe before you testified in this trial?
This morning.
Did you discuss your testimony?
No.
So you and Ms. McCabe, who became friends because of this incident,
Correct.
talked as recently as this morning before your testimony.
Correct.
And your testimony now is that you did not discuss anything about what you're doing here
No,
or what you're going
I
to
did
testify
not. She
to.
called to wish me good luck today.
Is that better, Tricia?
When did you talk to her the last time before this morning?
I don't know, maybe a couple days ago? I don't remember.
Within days of you taking the stand yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Hang on. I've got it boosted so that we can hear what she's saying. But I haven't got it running anywhere else. So I'll put it back down.
Did you ever...
Is that better?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts, I'm going to ask you,
Is that better?
to take a look at, actually, let me ask it a different way. Did you say that you did or did not recall texting with Jim McCabe during that January 29th interview with state police? Do you recall that or no?
No.
Okay.
During the interview, I didn't text
It was the
anyone.
boost then.
Are you saying you didn't text anybody or you don't recall?
I don't recall. I don't think I had I wouldn't be texting somebody if I was being interviewed by the state police.
Right. Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at a report of text messages?
Sure.
May I approach you?
Yes.
So this is where we're up to here. This bit.
Thank you.
Taxi.
May I?
Yes.
Take a look. There's two tabs. Take a look at the tabs and the data across the two tabs, if you will.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. May I?
Yes. Okay. George, feel free to stand up and stretch if you'd like. And I forgot to tell you, anytime we're at sidebar.
Okay. First,
No.
do you recall as you sit here texting Ms. McCabe that the state troopers were arriving or they're just getting there?
No.
Do you recall Ms. McCabe texting you anything back about calling me after?
No.
Did you in fact, different question, did you in fact call Ms. McCabe?
Right after the interview.
And talk to her?
I don't know.
Oh, shit. My fingers aren't working.
have you ever testified that at the scene, Ms. Reed was seated in the back of a patrol car along with Jennifer McCabe, and you were standing just outside the car, and there was an interaction among the three of you?
Yes.
Have you ever testified, or have you ever stated in any particular, that during that interaction, Karen asked the three of you to pray?
Yes.
Have you ever said or testified that during that interaction, where
when you were seated,
where they are seated in the back of the patrol car, and Ms. Reed asked you to pray, that Ms. Reed said to Jennifer McCabe,
Google hypothermia?
No,
You've never said that.
I've never said that.
You testified at the grand jury on
April 26th.
April 26th. Is that right? April 26th, 2022?
I do not know.
Right. Does that sound right? April 26th, 2022?
I have no idea.
Late April, does that sound right? I don't know.
I don't know.
It was 2022.
You testified
Under oath, correct? Yes.
Yes.
Swore the same oath that you swore here.
Yes.
Tell the truth, the whole truth.
Nothing but the truth, like penalty of perjury. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it your testimony that you have never said that Karen told Jen to Google hypothermia?
Yeah, that's what I needed.
With her face. She hasn't got a very good poker face.
Is it your testimony that you have never said that Karen
Told Jen
to Google hypothermia, or that you don't recall saying that?
I don't recall saying that.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at portion of your grand jury testimony from that day?
It might.
May I
It might.
approach?
Yes.
You should read on to page 83.
Thank you.
Sure. And if you can read on to page 83 as well.
This is the statement right here. Copy.
Yep. I testified. I didn't hear it, but I was told that she was asked to Google it.
I didn't hear it, but I was told.
You testified under oath at the grand jury that at some point Karen was in back of the police cruiser, correct?
Yep.
Objection.
No, I'll allow that question.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Does that refresh your recollection as to what you told the grand jury?
Yes.
And isn't it true that at some point during the course of your testimony under oath, you said that Karen was in the back of the police cruiser?
Yes.
And then you went on to describe that Karen and Jen and I were standing outside, and she made us all start holding hands and starting to pray.
Yes.
Meaning what the she being Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
And at this point, they had lifted John up and taken him onto the gurney, correct? That's
I don't
what you
know.
described.
I don't recall.
Okay. I'm going to do this again, just so we're clear.
Yes.
Sure. Just point to the bottom of the page.
At the bottom?
At the bottom, last couple of words.
Okay. Yep, I say I think, so I'm not
I have
positive.
a question for you.
Okay.
Fresh recollection.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
And you testified basically that you think, at least that's what you were telling the grand jurors, that you
Yep.
think that was the point at which they lifted John up
Yes.
and moved him into the ambulance, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
And then you were asked the question, what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, correct?
Objection.
Do you recall that?
I did not hear the question about Google being asked.
I did not hear the question about
That's not my
Google
question.
being asked.
May I ask? May I inquire?
Just repeat that question.
Sure. Isn't it true that you were next asked by Mr. Lally in front of the grand jury, quote, what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, end quote. Do you remember being asked that question?
No.
Yes. Thank you. If you want to look at like 16 through 18.
Okay.
Yes.
Was that refresh your recollection?
Is that refresh your recollection? That was the question that you were asked?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And in response to that question,
You stated, quote,
you stated, quote, at one point she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long Google hypothermia,
correct?
correct?
Who?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
That was very detailed, you agree, that that's a very detailed and specific recount of an event. You recounted where you were, back of a cruiser, or they were in the back of the cruiser, correct?
Yep.
You recorded or reported the time, it was right around the time that you thought they were lifting John up and scooped him up onto the gurney, correct?
Correct. Yep.
I thought it was about that time. I wasn't sure.
Location,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that answer. You were talking over each other.
that's my mistake.
What was your answer, Ms.
I
Roberts?
thought it was about the time they lifted him up, but I wasn't sure.
You were very detailed about who was there. It was you, it was Jen, it was my client, Kerry
Yes.
Reed, correct?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
You were so detailed that you talked about where you were standing next to the cruiser open door, correct?
Yes.
What the others were doing, holding hands and praying, is that right?
Yes.
And the actual words used, you were as detailed about all of that as the actual words used. She asked her to Google hypothermia and how long, and then you stopped, Google hypothermia, end quote, correct?
Correct.
You will agree, at least for that purpose, you painted a very, very detailed picture in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
Yeah.
Except it's not true, is it?
I did not hear her ask that. I was told she was asked that. In
The answer to my question, Ms. Roberts, and I'm a trick question. What you told the grand jurors was not true. You never heard her, my client, ask anyone to Google anything, did you?
I did not.
And yet, that's what you testified to.
Yeah.
Under oath, under penalty of perjury, in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
I did.
And the reason
I
you
did.
that, the reason that you said that false statement was because someone told you to say it, correct?
Yeah.
Is that, I'm going to let her answer.
Nobody told me to say it. I knew it happened at that time,
How did you
which is
know
why I said it.
How did you know it happened, Ms. Roberts, if no one told you it happened?
Because we wrote a timeline. We already spoke about that.
Timeline that Jennifer McCabe helped you with, that influenced your testimony in front of the grand jury, correct?
Yes.
Obviously.
I was telling what happened in the back of the cruiser.
The timeline
Can answer.
you wrote,
So when you ask a question, let her answer, okay?
the timeline you wrote, with Jennifer McCabe's help, influenced your testimony to testify in front of the grand jurors to a statement that you never heard,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
Yes. There you go.
You were later asked about that statement in another investigation, by another investigator or set of investigators, correct?
I don't know.
Were you interviewed by a different law enforcement agency, a separate law enforcement agency?
No,
from the
Dan's
Massachusetts
muted,
State
so
Police
it's
at
not
any
coming
time?
from him. And it's
Yes.
not coming from me, because if I pause that, I hear nothing. And if I had two streams running, I would hear both of them, and mine are muted. Right. So I think when Jackson claimed Karen saw John, would have been better to say, would have been a better lie to say John was coming in and going out several times. Well, she didn't see him, so you can't say that. I think that's exactly I think Kerry's been the perhaps the not so popular one at school, and the Jen McCabe's are the mean girls, and she got in with Jen McCabe. Is the stream with the fan courtroom running? Oh, actually, Dan's got another trial thing to pull up. I think that might be that, maybe. Has that stopped now? No, it's still going, because it's just... I'm wondering if you're picking up on that, Dan. What does that you want me to play, Dan?
Nick, maybe the patient might need a transfusion. So there are many different case scenarios where the results can help.
Live now?
The provider.
Oh, shit.
Clinician.
Why didn't you tell me?
Now, with
Because I only just
reference to,
noticed.
alcohol, does the Good
Should we
Samaritan
go
Medical
back?
Center, do they also test?
Because I like the
alcohol
medical
within the
examiner.
blood?
This is my shit. This is my jam.